Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
Hello, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to She is Shenomenal. I am your host, Tasha Champion, the Shenomenal Coach of Champion Empowerment. Always teaching you to love the champion you are. And today is Wednesday, October 18th. We are still in Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And it's really one of my favorite months because I was able to take something that was deemed awful when I was diagnosed with breast cancer and turn it into an inspiring story, turn it into something that can empower and uplift others that are diagnosed, and also to bring just a lot of awareness. So if you've been following me on either my Instagram, The Shenomenal Coach, or Facebook, Tasha Champion Champion, you see that I've been doing 31 days of pink, and it's really about bringing you just tips and information, as well as sharing my experience through the breast cancer journey that I had 7 years ago. Now, what I want to tell you guys today, because I recently received a text message where someone has found a lump and they had questions. And the first thing they said was, but there's no history in my family. And I'm not sure where this comes from. Like, yes, there is a BRCA gene. I do carry the BRCA gene mutation. But what's important for you to know is just because there's no known cancer in your family, you don't know anyone that was diagnosed, it does not mean that you are exempt. I think it's about 85% of those diagnosed have no known history in their family. So if you find a lump in your breast, under your arm, any part of your body, honestly, but if you find a lump, you still need to go to the doctor. You still need to go get further testing, because again, just because you don't have a history of it does not mean that you cannot get any type of cancer. Specifically, I'm talking about breast cancer at this time. So I hope that little bit of information helps, because you still deserve to live your happiest, healthiest life. And that really starts with understanding and knowing that just because no one in your family has ever had cancer doesn't mean that you are exempt. So be sure to take care of yourself. Now, in this month, I get to celebrate. I get to do quite a few things. I've had a lot of honor over these past 7 years as a survivor. And one of the things that I just absolutely love, I just did it for the fourth time. The LA Chargers and American Cancer Society has something called Crucial Catch. And in my Shenomenal moment today, I'm really excited to share this, because this is such a special event where they bring together 50 to 60 breast cancer survivors that come together, and they're able to go onto the field for the singing of the national anthem, as well as halftime. Again, this is my fourth time going, so I have a wonderful time with all of these survivors. And there's the shirt that we received, the flag, and a really cool beanie. But more importantly, the best part of this year is that my mom and my sister were with me. As many of you know, my sister and I were diagnosed 2 weeks apart. My mother is also a survivor. And to have them share this moment with me was just absolutely, it made me speechless. I was emotional. I was happy. I was excited. And of course, it's always surprising when you're like, oh my gosh, you have a mom and two daughters that have had breast cancer. So yes, that is possible. But I'm so grateful for my sister Tish Smith and my mom Priscilla Smith Roberts, who were able to join me, and they loved it. My mom is a huge Cowboys fan, so she got to see her team live. But it is an incredible experience, and to have 70,000 people cheering you on and telling you, that they're proud of you, it makes the fight that you had just a little bit easier. All right. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I don't like talking too much in the beginning because it's always important that I get to my interviews. And today, after we take this commercial break, I'm talking to the parent coach herself. She is who I call the teen whisperer, because she will get your teenager all in check and in line. But Kiana Shaw, developer of Leadership Academy, CEO of KRS Training and Development. She is a mom. She is a speaker. She's a 5 or 6, maybe 6 to be 6 is soon, but I know she's a 5-time best-selling author. And tonight we're going to have an open conversation about the conversations you need to have with your daughter. I am currently teaching parenting classes, and I'm getting a lot of moms that are asking very specific questions about how they should communicate and speak with their daughters about certain topics that can be sensitive. Maybe they feel like their daughters are too young, but Kiana's here to talk to us about that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will be joined with Miss Kiana Shaw, the teen whisperer herself. We'll be right back.
In a world filled with diversity, where radical faith and progressive believers come together, there's a place that's breaking all boundaries and embracing believers from all walks of life. Bullet and Flight Radio, where believers unite, boundaries break, and love triumphs.
Welcome back. Thank you again for joining. I am so honored, so proud, so happy to introduce my girl, my friend, one of the Shenomenal Brunch sponsors, Miss Kiana Shaw of KRS Training and Development, and founder of Leadership Academy, as well as the 20,000 plus mom group, Mothers Raising Teen Daughters, on Facebook. Please welcome Miss Kiana Shaw. Hello, Kiana.
Hi. Thank you for having me again.
Oh my gosh. Over and over again is really what it's going to start to feel like, because I always feel like every season is going to be something new that you get to come in and talk about, because of course we all know raising kids, but raising daughters is never going to stop. It's going to continue to grow, and we can always learn something new. So it's an honor to have you back. And I love how they put the teen whisperer, because I'm telling y'all, she is the teen whisperer. I don't know what she does. She just whispers. She sprinkles something and whispers something in their ear, and then your teenager is like, okay, I'm going to be the best teen ever. It just happens. That's what she does.
I wouldn't say just in one whisper. So every now and then it comes with me gathering all the fabric from their shirt up under their chin. It's not always the whisper. That's hilarious. But yes,
it happens sometimes. Right.
It's I always say it's like that jungle of beautiful scenery, right? You get the trees, and you get the background and the mountains, but then that there are like these wild beasts, right? Of awkwardness, the beast of rebellion, the beast of just, I don't want to clean my room. You know what I mean? So it's so many layers when we're dealing with teenagers. But if we keep course, parents, I promise we'll make it through it.
Okay. Awesome. 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 And yes, Kiana is the GOAT. She is, woo, she's the GOAT. I'm so serious. Kiana, before we dive into the conversation, and let me just apologize, you guys. I'm having some internet connectivity issues and it feels like it's lagging, but stick around, stay with me. You'll get it. It'll be cool. You'll get the information and the details that you need to have, which is what's important. But Kiana, introduce yourself a little bit. Like I rarely ever read someone's bio because hey Teresa, thank you for joining. Because I like for my guests to introduce themselves. Tell us about who is Kiana Shaw.
Oh my goodness. So I am a self-mastery coach. I am the parent and teen coach. I am the owner, CEO of KRS Training and Development. I'm the creator of Mothers Raising Teen Daughters. I am the founder of Lead Hership Academy. So I mean, I gotta have my hands in a little bit of everything. Personal and professional development are my homes. Those are my niches.
Okay, cool. So basically, you are the get your life person.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. I thought that was in there. All right. So you are a mom. You have a daughter. I have one daughter, 3 sons. And for those of you who have sons out there, while it's a conversation we need to have with our daughters, trust me, a lot of what you're going to hear, you definitely can have those conversations with your sons as well. But Kiana, to start, and I want to kind of go from maybe like preschool, school age, middle school, high school. Let's take it in steps, right?
Okay.
So that we're hitting around every age group. So starting, when should a mother start having conversations with her daughter about her body and understanding that no one is to touch her body and helping her understand like what she should report? Like, just give us that, because I think a lot of times, some people, hi India, thank you so much for joining. I feel like sometimes people are a little bit hesitant because it's like they don't want to put something in their child's head or they don't want to scare their child. But when do we need to start having those conversations with our daughters?
From birth. Oh, okay. And the reason why you do it from birth is because you need it to be everything we talk about today is not a one-time thing. These are ongoing conversations. They're evolving dialogues that we should be having with our kids at all times. Our children need to know that we are comfortable discussing our bodies and their bodies so that they can be comfortable discussing their bodies. So for my daughter, for my nieces, even cousins, I've always started early, right? There's nothing that we can't talk about. You know, you get dressed and your daughter's in the room. She's going to look, she's going to have questions. You know what I'm saying? So and then that's when you're explaining why you're lotioning up. Like, this is why we lotion this part of our body. This is why, you know what I mean? That it's everyday conversations as it relates to body boundaries and what to report. Those conversations start the minute they are out of your care. I don't care who they're going to. They're going to grandma's house. Like you don't have to say, did somebody touch you? You don't have to say that. My question for my every day was, did anything happen that made you happy? Did anything happen that made you sad? Those were my questions. Those questions allowed her to say, Mommy, I didn't like when such and such pushed me, or Mom, you know, and she gets to share those things. I liked it when TT gave me an extra cookie and nobody else saw it. Like, that's the stuff that I want to know. And if something does happen that made her sad, right, she tells me from the beginning. Right. And I've had to teach her, tell me while we still in the parking lot. Let's go handle this right now. You know what I mean? But as she gets older, she like, no, because every time I tell you in the parking lot, you take out 3 trees, trying to hurry up and get back to, you know.
You go into full on mama mode.
Listen, yes, because at that moment, I'm not Coach Kiana. I am Kayla Mama. Okay.
Right. Exactly. I like the fact that you said even just starting like this is how you put lotion on your body, because those are very gentle things to open those conversations of, you know, the different body parts and talking about, you know, body health as well.
Right. Hey, like you put the lotion right there. Nobody should touch you there. So you do it. You put it here because nobody should be touching you there. Not
Right.
even mommy. So you do it, and then they start to recognize. So if someone does touch them, they like, hold on, mama said
Mama
nobody's
said,
supposed to touch me there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And then also
Yes.
when you're asking your children, whenever I ask Kayla, did anything happen that made you happy or anything happen that made you sad? I always asked her away from the people. Because one thing I was reading, it was the very first book I was a part of, or the second book I was a part of. One of the ladies was telling a story, and her mom would ask her, "How did your day go?" But the abuser was right there. So I
Oh,
made it a point when I had my daughter. I will ask you away from them because kids can't be honest if the abuser is standing there.
wow. Wow. And I love the fact that you said, did anything make you happy? Did anything make you sad? Because again, you're not just like, so what happened? What did
Right.
you do? Whose app were you on? Like, I think it's just such a way for a kid to organically share how their day went, not realizing like you're asking for specific reasons, but they just think that they're sharing their day. So I really
Absolutely.
like that idea. So mothers, if your child is away from you and then they come back, it's say it again, Kiana.
Did anything happen that made you happy? Did anything happen that made you sad?
Yes,
And
I love
we're talking to moms, but that's a parenting thing. I think
it.
that more fathers should ask those questions as well, because it gives the kid an opportunity to say, I can trust both of my parents, and I can go to them and I can tell them, I can tell daddy if mommy's doing something that makes me sad, right? Like some kids, they gonna report that she made me pick up all my clothes by myself. That's okay. It's still something that made her sad. And as a parent, you should be able to go, oh, okay, well, this is why, because she's teaching you responsibility, right? Everything is a learning moment. Everything.
Right. Right. Okay. So we're at this very young age, and you're getting the things that make you happy, the things that make you sad. So let's move into the let's say between kind of 5 and 10, right?
Okay.
So just before this child is beginning to go to what middle school, we're going to
Okay.
stick into this elementary school range. So now, you might watch certain things and you're not mindful that your child is listening, even though they're playing with their toys. What you have on TV, they are listening to, or they're privy to the conversations you're having on the phone. You
Right.
think they're not listening, and they're catching glimpses of it, right? What should a parent do if they begin to see their child act out things that maybe they said in a phone conversation or they saw on television? Because there was a parent that was asking me about her 5-year-old daughter
Mhm.
who, in an after school program, they told her that her daughter had kissed a boy. And then
Mhm.
the next day, the daughter told her mom that she had kissed a boy again. And her mother's trying to figure out, well, where does this come from? Is it the things that I'm watching? What is she privy to? So how she wants to talk to her daughter more about maybe where it's coming from, but how do we start this conversation?
You don't. Let me rephrase that. You don't talk to her about it, right? You watch what you're watching. Watch what you're saying. Watch what you're doing. What we do speaks so loud, our children don't even hear what we say. What are you doing, watching, listening to? Because all of that matters. If you go to
Mhm.
your daughter and you're like, stop kissing boys, what's she gonna do?
Right.
She gonna start kissing boys, right? And it's not that she's being defiant, it's that now her curiosity is piqued. How come? What
Right.
about this? You know what I mean? Like there's a way to approach it, and you can say, this is not okay because this person on TV is kissing somebody they don't even know. That person could have like a disease on their mouth. Oh my goodness. Right? Because that's a real thing. I worry about
Mhm.
people, adults who jump into relationships. You don't know what kind of cold sores they get. Why are you kissing this person? It's the first date. You know what I mean? There are tons of things that you have to be considering in this day and time. So I think with our kids, it's not so much like, where'd you get that
Mhm.
from? Who did that? It's what are they experiencing? What are they seeing with me? With if you don't live with the other parent, right? You're co-parenting. What are they experiencing at their house? Everybody has different rules. grandma might be like, well, this is what we watching over here.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that experience. My mom was like, I ain't really into turning the TV every time y'all come over. Right. So I had to be mindful of that because in my home, we are not watching this. So when she goes to someone else's home, I have to be mindful because those type of things, and it's okay to say, you know what, we're not going to come by. We're going to limit our visits because I have a responsibility to my child,
right,
to not expose him or her to unnecessary things that are going to intrigue her at such a young age.
right. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this because one of the other parents was talking about her daughter's friend got the phone taken away. These are 9-year-olds. Her daughter's friend got her phone taken away because she was having a boyfriend and there was some social media things. What is your take? I know every parent is different. I'm not trying to tell anybody what you're supposed to do in your home, but what is your take on social media? When is it age appropriate in your opinion? Because again, we're not trying to tell somebody what they're going to do in their home. And then because I'm starting to see, I know when I was a kid, there like girls weren't talking about having boyfriends at such young ages, but now it seems to be more prevalent around that 19-year-old age where they're just like, oh, my boyfriend, and they want to explore and experiment, and then they're looking at things on social media. So again, how do we bring this back into conversations and parenting? What do we need to look out for? What do we need to be mindful of? And as a parent, if you're really clueless.
Okay, like that was a lot in one question. Okay, so because I have a 10-year-old, I am definitely experiencing the conversations of, this one has a boyfriend, that one has a girlfriend. So I will say this: social media is not just Instagram and TikTok. Let's start there. YouTube Shorts are social media. Okay, anything that they're social on, that includes text messages, right? So I think it's levels to it. I can see every text message. I can see every email. So when the kids are out of line, I can call a parent. Guess what? We need to have this conversation, right? I told my daughter, I check everything because I'm not trying to catch her doing bad. I want to catch you doing good. So I want you to know that I see it all and I will check it all, right? That being said, Instagram is not for kids. There are age limits on these things for a reason. Your 10-year-old should not have access to that. Aside from the fact that the sites are extremely addictive, and now we're chasing that, like we just refreshing and we're staying on for hours. Look at your own history. Look at the amount of time you're spending on your phone. Do you want your child having that same amount of time? It's not okay for most of us. So when we're looking at social media, I know you said we're not telling parents, but social media has told parents, your child should not be on this before age 13.
Right.
Honestly, I think that if we can hold out to 17, 18, when their brains are a little bit more developed, because at 13, at 10, they really feel like they know it all because it's on social media. It has to be true because it's on the internet. Right? And so now the algorithm is feeding them things that reinforce this thought. It's not their thought. It's not something that they have researched. It's literally what they have picked up from a force that is outside of what you are teaching, right? And I know people go, oh no, let your children be free. No. It is my job to guide my child and make sure that she becomes a productive citizen of society. I cannot do that if I let the internet raise her. So we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful.
Absolutely. I know with me, I've got a daughter and 3 boys, and my sons are 20, 19, and 14. And of course, at 19 and 20, they believe that they know everything, which is the cutest thing ever, right?
Right. Because you don't even make your best mistakes till 30.
Oh my gosh. They think they know it all. And I have to remind them, like, listen, the reason I am a parent is because I have 23 and 24 years of experience over you. So there are things that you cannot think of because you have not reached a level to be able to think of it. And I tell them at 43, I still talk to my mother about things that I haven't experienced because she got 20 years on me. This is why we are parents. So when you're thinking that I'm telling you stuff just to, oh God, here she go again. No, you might want to listen because
Can I
my
give you another
experience,
perspective on
I
that?
know what I'm talking about.
Can
Yes.
I give you are a good parent because of your experience. Because the only requirement for parent is sperm to meet egg. That's it. Those are the only requirements for parenting. Sperm, egg, come together. That's it. And then you could be a parent. So you're a good parent because of your experiences that you can teach your kids.
Right, exactly. Now you were on shout out to Kwame Corbett with Kwame Speaks. You were on Kwame Speaks and I was listening in. That's and right. You made a very good point. We're going to talk about this and then go to commercial break. But okay. You said something that was very pivotal because most of us were raised with that whatever goes on in the house stays in the house. And you had a very good take. Like I was driving and I was like, ooh, Kiana, that's so true. And you said something to the effect, and I know you'll say it right now, of like, if I don't want it to be shared, then I shouldn't be doing it. So Absolutely. Talk about that a little bit, because I feel like, a lot of times we do what our parents did with us, and then it starts to trickle down into our children, and it might not be the healthiest decision.
So I am of the belief that statement, what goes on in our house stays in our house, is a trap for children. It allows them to be victimized and silenced because they can't share it, right? I grew up being sexually abused. If I had known that I could share it, I'd have stood up in the middle of church service. You understand what I'm saying? I think that we have to stop telling our kids that. What we need to be doing is anything you don't want everybody to know, stop doing it especially in front of your kids. But if you're saying, oh my goodness, I don't want anyone to know that, Mr. So-and-so is coming over here. Why does your child have to hold your secret? Ooh. Tell him he can't come. And if we would just live the way we say we live, then our children can be free like they were born to be.
Did y'all catch that? Our children should not be holding our secrets.
They shouldn't. And then that holds them emotionally hostage to everything we got going. It's too much. It's too much. Just live how you say you're going to live. And if you're going to be out here with Mr. Johnny and Mr. Joe and all of them, then be honest about it. But don't hold it a secret and then force that child to hold that. That's not okay.
Right. And then I know you had mentioned, like, because you co-parent, there might be things that, your daughter needs to say to her father. And if you're trying to make her hold everything in this house, now she can't do that, or she's uncomfortable, or she can't come home and talk to you about something that made her uncomfortable in another household.
Absolutely. So I don't care what it is. And there's been some things that she shared with her dad. And I was like, okay, let's go together. Like, she has the right to share it, even though it's a family issue that don't have anything to do necessarily with his family. But if she's experienced it, or if she was there when it happened, we are going to talk to her dad. That's the conversation that she should never have to have by herself. Right. So when something is going on and my daughter brings it to me, I expect, whether it's at school, I expect the teacher or administrator to come to me first. I expect her dad to come to me first, because once my child is bringing it to me, I don't have that adult perspective. So now we got a problem, right? So as a mom, it is my job to make sure that she feels completely free to share her thoughts, free of judgment, free of punishment, because that is how we raise productive members of society who make integrity-based decisions.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, I know we have to go to commercial break, but when we come back, I want to jump right into these teen years. And I want to, let me just go ahead and give it to you before we go to commercial break so you can think about it. But I want to talk about the hard conversations when your child has to come to you and have a hard conversation. If they are pregnant, if they've tried drugs, if maybe one of their friends are being hurt, how do you I don't want to say control your emotions, but how do you be mindful so that your child still feels safe in coming to you? Okay. Especially because teenage years, we hit a different level of parenting when that happens. God bless our souls. All right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and we will be back with Kiana Shaw having conversations with our daughters. Stay tuned.
Step away from the chaos and noise of your daily life. Experience moments for yourself that are calm, serene, and full of peace. A necessary respite to foster growth within you, because self-care should be luxurious. Luxe Noir.
All right, we are back, and I am talking to Kiana Shaw, parent coach, or as I like to call her, the teen whisperer. And we are going to dive into those tough conversations that make you, as the parent, uncomfortable. And that is okay. Like, every conversation is not supposed to be with peaches and rainbows. But Kiana, when our children come to us and they have, thank you, Teresa, much needed conversations for parents. Yes. Thank you, Priscilla, my mommy. When our parents, when our parents come to us, and I'm going to be honest, like, there are times when our parents have instilled so much into us that sometimes we can then be scared to come and have those conversations, right? Or our parents will go a roundabout and not just say, call a thing, and then we don't know what to do. So for instance, my mother said, when you lose your virginity, I'll smell it on you. So I showered for hours. I was like, she ain't about to smell nothing. But she didn't talk to me about what that really meant or have those open
I can smell you. She's not talking about smelling you.
Yeah, but I didn't know. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna shower. I was like, she ain't gonna smell nothing but Caress soap. That's what she gonna smell. So when we
that was a dead giveaway, by the way.
So when we need to have these hard conversations, or, I don't think a parent is ever ready to have a talk with our children. Like I don't know of too many kids that have been able to say, hey, mom, I'm ready to have sex, and we can have that conversation. So when we have to have those uncomfortable conversations with our children, talk to us about what the best way is. What's the best way to handle it?
Okay. So I think that one thing we can do is say, all right, let me take a moment, and then is it okay if I call auntie so-and-so, uncle so-and-so, so that it's a person that they can share anything with, right? Because all children should have a safe space, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, parents are usually not that safe space. So maybe bring that person in so that the conversation, you have a buffer. Both of you have a buffer. So that's a good idea. You got somebody that can say, hold on, back up, take 10 steps, back a little further, okay?
Right.
Your child needs somebody that they can hide behind, in a sense. Like, okay, somebody with a sound mind that can give great advice and help you guys have this conversation and navigate it, because most parents are not, like you said, ready to have that conversation. The other thing is, remember what it was like for you. We all lost our virginity at some point, and most of us did not wait till our wedding night. So if that's the case, what was the conversation? I mean, if you did, that's fine. I'm just saying, most of us didn't. Okay, all right. So that being said, why would you go upside their head? Why would you treat them like, they need a scarlet letter? Because that's not how you were. You didn't feel that way. You felt like you were in love. You felt like you were ready. You were probably more curious than anything, but you felt like you were ready, right? There's all these things. And nowadays, our kids are bombarded with sexual innuendo. So or just sexuality, period, because you can drive on the freeway and see the billboards, and they have, gentlemen's clubs, and I don't even think it's a gentleman club anymore. Now it's just a naked girl on the billboard,
on
right?
the billboard. Mm-hmm.
So aside from that, there's also, you have, remember when Britney Spears like took off her whatever she had on, and it was a flesh tone bodysuit, and the world lost people lost their minds. Like, how dare they? How dare they? Uncle Luke was, had videos, and MC Hammer pumps in the bump, and we, you know what I mean? Like, we were getting exposed. Now it's so much easier. Back then, we had to like find somebody who parent had a tape in the back of the closet, under the safe. And now it's like, oh, look at Google. This gadget they gave me. I can pull it up on my phone, right? So we have to be mindful that they are exposed to so much more. If you're going to allow them to be exposed, you can't be mad at what they encounter if you allow the exposure. We like to say, well, they know better. They don't.
They don't.
They don't. We still do things we shouldn't do.
Right.
We still do things we shouldn't do. There are adults right now somewhere in a parking lot or at a hotel that ain't supposed to be there. Tell me that you expect these kids to follow the rules because they're not adults. No, this is the age where they're going to be curious.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that the statement of like, oh, they know better. I really feel like that's really a cop out for the parent.
Right.
Like,
on many levels. Maybe on some levels it's not, because when your kid know better. But at the same time, you also know when your child will push the envelope. I'm never the one to show up in a meeting like, oh, my child is perfect and she's pretty doggone good. But I also know that she's human and she's going to make decisions. She's going to make choices. She's going to look at things. She's going to get in some mess at some point in life, right? So my advice to parents is, first, calm down. If you got to say, you know what, mommy is just overwhelmed. This is a lot of conversation. So give me a minute to go cry. Give me a minute to go, put my boxing gloves on and hit the wall, go outside, hit the tree. Let me hit something other than you. Let me go. You know what I'm saying? I want to come back and have this conversation, but right now I am emotionally charged. We aren't emotionally mature enough to say that. So they aren't emotionally mature enough to go, oh man, I should probably give mama some space. Right. You know what? I just dropped a heavy load on her. Maybe I should just go and just sit in my closet for a minute and let her, Tasmanian devil the house so she don't Tasmanian devil me. They don't know that. And if you can't articulate that to your child, and sometimes I have to say, you know what? I am extremely irritated right now. Let's stop talking.
Let me back off.
Because my daughter is a talker. I'm a talker. So my daughter, like, you know what I'm saying? There's some days where she used 18 billion words. I got to be mindful. You understand what I'm saying? Because if I'm frustrated or if I'm rushing, I don't want to hear all those, like, you got about 10,000 and then I got to move on with my life. Like, because I can't function.
You've reached that word limit.
Say that. You have to be able to tell your kids that. I think a lot of times people go, you have too much conversation with your child. They're, she's not an adult. She is a person though. So whether it's her having, a conversation with me, mommy, I really would like something else for dinner. Or maybe she's like, mommy, I'm like, right now, the dog is barking. Like, everybody got something to say in this house. Okay. So sometimes we have to be mindful of how we are going to approach a situation, and we have to teach our kids how we are, and we have to also take into consideration how they are whenever we're approaching any of these topics.
Because one of the things that I learned, and I think I got this from one of the brunches that you had, I am that parent that it's like, if I want to talk to you, we gonna talk right now. Like, I don't give my kids, I didn't give my kids the space they may need, because it's like, Tasha has something to say, mommy has something to say, and I'm getting ready to say it right now. Like, and sometimes my kids will go, Mom, I just don't want to talk about it right now. I'm like, I don't care. And I had to learn to correct that, because there's times where I need space. I might need to step back and go, yeah, give me a second. But I did not do that with my kids. And that was something that I had to learn. And sometimes I still have to learn it, because I'm a talker and I have a little bit of control issues. So I want what I want right now. And I have to remember that my kids still deserve that space to say, I don't want to talk about this just yet. But I do remind them, I understand you don't want to talk about it right now, but we're coming back to this topic.
If it's not a self-harming or someone else is going to be harmed conversation, right, give them that space. Because let me ask you this. If it was your spouse and they were like, no, we talking about it right now. And you like, I done already told you I need a minute. Right now, people go, well, that's different because these are kids. I'm taking care of them. They're still human. You're still in a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. You're still in a relationship. Now, I am not a fan of you just going to shut down and not tell me what's going on. I'm not a fan of that. No. Right. So, okay, well, now we got to take this space together, because as soon as you're ready to talk, it's going to be with me. It's right.
Mm-hmm. But we're going to have this conversation. Yes.
It depends on the severity of the situation. You don't get to just not talk because I'm fussing at you about not doing the dishes. No, we're not doing that.
Right.
But if it's something that has happened to you, because I don't know about it, I don't know how traumatic it was. I don't know how damaging it is. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes people just need that moment. If I had a friend whose mom passed, and then shortly later her father passed, like within a 7-month time span, which everything in me was like, I want to be there for you. But she was like, I don't want to talk right now. I got to respect that.
Right.
I got to back off. Like we tend to think that, oh, I own my kids, but we don't.
And I feel like we tend to think we automatically know more because they are our children.
Right.
Like we automatically know everything that's best.
I've ever gotten. Every bad parenting piece